What they really want to know is if the New Testament says that Jesus did X, Y, and Z, did he do it or not? If the New Testament says that Jesus said this, did he say it or not? The fact that the author happens to know about the geography has no bearing on the question.
Let's come back to these questions.
Well, I would want to reply on that, because I think there are 2 points I'd want to make. One is there is more connection, because the sort of things they know are non-trivial. You can't get them through reading Pliny the Elder or reading Strabo or any book. So if they're from outside the land, they have to have gone to the lengths to know. I mean, Jericho's got a different climate, you get different trees, they need to know that sort of thing. And then the other issue is, in order to get the story of Jesus wrong, you'd have to have a different mechanism of information. So it's like they've gone to the efforts of doing this research to get all the context right, and then you're going to say, but they were casual about the stories. And for that, I think you'd need to have some sort of system of selective corruption of information that corrupts the most important stuff and leaves all the trivial stuff in place. And I'd want to know, how do you do that?
Okay, good. I'd like to respond to that.
Go ahead.
For one thing, I don't think you have to do a lot of research if you're living in the year 70 to report about what happened in Palestine 40 years earlier in terms of geography and such. The reason is because as you yourself are saying, these authors are basing their accounts on things that they've heard. The stories, everybody agrees, the stories go back to Palestine. Not all of the stories probably, but let's just say they all do. Let's say all the stories go back to Palestine. That means you have an oral tradition about what happened that includes details within the stories. This is what happens in oral traditions. It's not just unusual it's just not the New Testament. Every oral tradition is like this. You get these little details. The fact you get the details doesn't mean that the tradition itself is right. And when you say that somebody had to do a lot of research, and if they got all the trivial stuff, they also got the big stuff, that's ignoring what we know about oral tradition. We know what happens in oral traditions, and what happens is you save little details that you get right, but you can get the entire story wrong. And so the question is, what is the evidence that the story is right? We haven't gotten to this a bit yet.
Okay.
What is the evidence that, in fact, there are problems with these stories?